Today we're going to be talking about using the strategy beginning and middle and end to help you find the best summary when it's already written for you. We're also going to do some tips about how to actually write a summary using beginning, middle, and end, but for the most part we're going to focus on if it's already written for you. Okay, so let's get going. You use a summary to tell the whole plot of something. It could be a long novel. It could be a picture book. It could be a passage on a reading test. It could even be a poem, if the poem is a narrative. And the poem we're looking at right now is called The Snowman, and it is a narrative. This is a narrative poem. This is found on Study Zone, so if you want to go look it up, you could. So let's just kind of hop in for a second. Let's just read it. The Snowman. There once was a very happy snowman who was loved by all the boys and girls. He would watch them run and play with each passing day. One day the sun was so bright, the snowman knew it wasn't quite right. He hoped with each day that he would not melt away, if only he could make it until night. As the days became warmer, the snowman knew he was in danger. He said his goodbyes and looked in their eyes and said, "I promise I'll see you again." The next snowy day, the children all came out to play. They worked for hours together to bring back their friend to them. Before the day's end, they all had their friend, the happy snowman, joined them once again. Okay, so if we're looking at the summary, one of the best strategies you can use that will work with either fiction, and actually it'll work with nonfiction too. Now you're not going to have your characters and all of that, but you can use a strategy of dividing it up. So I'm going to divide this up into beginning, middle, and an end. I look up here and I'm going to grab my handy dandy pen and I'm just going to think to myself, I need to divide it into 3 parts. Well, this has 1 stanza, 2 stanzas, 3 stanzas, 4 stanzas, 5 stanzas. I know that's not going to divide evenly, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. And so I'm just going to divide it like this. We're going to say this is the beginning. So I'm going to put a B for beginning. Okay. I'm going to say this is the middle, which means that these 2 stanzas over here are the end. Okay. So now, when I do a summary, I'm telling the main idea of the beginning, the middle, and the end. If we're dealing with fiction, the beginning is going to tell us about the character and the conflict. The middle is going to kind of tell us something about how the character deals with the conflict, and the end is going to usually resolve the conflict in some way. Okay, so if it's nonfiction, it's going to be a little bit different than that, but you can still use the strategy again to tell the beginning, the middle, and the end. Okay, so I'm going to just break it down by each of these stanzas, and I'm going to think about what is the main idea. So let's look at the beginning. Okay, there once was a happy snowman who was loved by all the boys and girls. He would watch them run and play with each passing day. One day the sun was so bright, the snowman knew it wasn't quite right. He hoped with each day that he would not melt away, if only he could make it until night. Okay, so those are the 2 stanzas we said we're going to use as the beginning, and we just eyeballed them again. To be able to eyeball just means that we just looked at it, we just kind of guessed. Okay, so we drew these. What's the main idea? Well, I know my main character is the snowman, and I know the conflict is he's worried about melting. So the main idea must be children built a snowman that is now worried about melting. Okay, so let's go to the middle. As the days became warmer, the snowman knew he was in danger. He said his goodbyes and looked in their eyes and said, "I promise I'll see you again." Okay, so we talked about the beginning. The children built a snowman who is afraid he will melt, so he says his goodbyes. Okay, so that's the main idea of the middle. Now, if you were doing this on a test, it would be a good idea just to write down some ideas of your notes, wherever you have some space, just to keep in mind what you're thinking. I've done that. You'll see it in just a second, but you can't see it yet. So let's go to the end, and then I'll show you all the notes I've been taking. Okay, so the next snowy day, the children all came out to play. They worked for hours together to bring their friend back to them. Before the day's end, they all had their friend, the happy snowman, joined them once again. Okay, so now I'm going to think of what's the main idea of the end. Well, it's going to resolve the conflict. Okay, well, he was worried about melting, and he did. And so now, on the next snowy day, the friends rebuild the snowman. Okay, so let's go take a look at the notes I took. Okay, so I thought in the beginning that the main idea of the beginning two stanzas was that the snowman that the kids built is worried about melting. In the middle, the snowman promises to return because he is melting. Okay, and at the end, I said when it snows, the children rebuild the snowman. This is a good summary. This is a good thing to do because now I remember the beginning, the middle, and the end. And if I'm asked a question to summarize this, I have all of my notes already there for me, as you can see. So then it'll be much easier to pick that out, okay? But this isn't something that was already written for me. So I'm sure you're thinking, well, how do I use this, Mrs. O? Well, let me tell you. Let's do a different poem, and these have some summaries that are written for you, and we're going to decide whether or not those are good summaries, okay? So here's Jimmy Goes to the City by Arthur Reed. This is from the PBS website, which you can go find also. So here we go. Jimmy was a happy ape until some hunters caught him. He liked the jungle better than the city where they brought him. The city was louder, the city was meaner, even the dirt in the jungle was cleaner. So Jimmy made a daring escape. The hunters were suddenly -1 ape. He climbed the tallest buildings because from there he'd see how far away the jungle was from the middle of the city. Jimmy jumped into a passing plane, but the pilot didn't wait for him to explain. Jimmy flew back to the jungle and told his ape friends in their lair, "The city's okay for a visit, but you couldn't make me live there." Okay. So remember my strategy that I talked to you about. You want to divide it into 3 parts. And in this case, this only has 1 stanza. So you're just going to have to divide that stanza up, okay? So there's 1, there's the middle, and there's the end for me, okay? Now, as I said, I just kind of guessed. I just kind of put it in there, and, I can think about it. If I need to redraw my lines, I can. But I just need to make sure that I'm getting a really good idea of beginning, middle, and end, okay? So I'm just thinking, main idea. What's the main idea of the beginning? Well, Jimmy gets caught, taken to a city that he hates, okay? Okay, in the middle, Jimmy makes a daring escape. Okay, and the end. Jimmy returns to the jungle and tells his friends he does not want to live in the city. Okay, so I've made all those notes off to this side. I've divided it up. I've thought about it. Here is a great place, especially if this was like the STAR test or some sort of standardized testing. This would be a great place to take your notes. Okay, so now, what is that going to look like? Well, on the STAR test or any other standardized test, you're going to have choices. So let's just say the next one is choice A. Okay, well, is this a good summary of the poem? Jimmy is captured by some hunters. He hates the city. Well, if I think back to the last slide, and I think back to the whole poem, I remember that he got captured in the beginning. Okay. He hates the city. I'm not sure where that was, so I'm going to go back and I'm going to look. Until some hunters caught him, he liked the jungle better than the city where they brought him. Okay, so here at the beginning, again, that's where they're talking about it. So this isn't a very good summary at all because, where's my handy dandy pen? Let's see. Pen, where are you? There you are. Okay, this isn't a good summary because this is happening in the beginning. He gets captured and he hates the city. That's happening in the beginning. And we went back and we looked to be able to see that. Okay, so good summaries are going to have a balance. It's going to have the same amount of the beginning, the same amount of the middle, and the same amount of the end. Okay, and there won't be any extra details in there. Okay, so let's go to the next summary. Okay, Jimmy hates the city. Okay, well that was at the beginning. Okay, so beginning. So do you see how I'm marking a B to mark beginning? This is the way I can kind of think about, is this a good summary? And I could see, does it have a B, an M, and an E? And if it doesn't have a beginning sentence, a middle sentence, and the sentence from the end, then it won't be the best summary. Okay? So let's go to the next sentence. He heads back to the jungle where he tells his friends about life in the city. Okay, I'm going to go back and I'm going to look that one up, okay? So I'm going to go back to my passage and I'm going to go, where does he tell his friends about the city? And that's happening here at the end. So it has a beginning sentence and it had an end sentence, but no middle. So now we're going to skip back to it. Okay, so I'm going to look back at my markings and I said this was beginning and this part happens at the end. But there's no middle. So this can't be the best summary. So let's go to choice C. Okay. Jimmy is captured by some hunters and taken to the city. Well, yeah, that happens at the beginning. Okay. So I'm going to mark my B for beginning because, yes, that did happen there. Okay. After realizing he hates the city, he escapes. Okay. That whole middle paragraph was about him escaping. Okay. So I'm going to put an M because that did happen in the middle. And then the last part says he heads back to the jungle where he tells his friends about the city life. Oh, that happened at the end. All right. So I see that I have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I look through and I think about my sentences. There's not anything extra in there, like the dirt is cleaner in the jungle. That would be a detail that we didn't need to know to make a good summary. So it's just got that main idea of the beginning, the main idea of the middle, and the main idea of the end. It has all three parts, beginning, middle, and end, and no extra details. So this would be the choice that I would want to circle because it has all the things it needs to be a good summary. Okay, guys, you've had some good practice and on what it means to actually look and write a summary, how to divide your story up, whether it's a story, whether it's a poem, or whether it's nonfiction. You know you can divide it into those three parts. Then you know that you can write the main idea of the beginning, the main idea of the middle, and the main idea of the end, like we did with the poem about the snowman. And that can help you find the best summary on standardized tests like the STAR by going back and looking, beginning, middle, and end. You can write down B for the beginning, M for the middle, and E for the end. And just to recap on that too, to summarize, if you will, you want to make sure that the best summaries have a main idea from the beginning, a main idea from the middle, and a main idea from the end. It shouldn't have anything extra details. It should only have those three main ideas. Okay? You are ready to go out there and summarize, my friends. Hasta luego.